Another piece in analyzing graphs of functions that can be helpful is determining when the function is positive versus when the function is negative. And this refers to the y values. When are the y values positive and when are the y values negative? So we're going to write intervals to help describe that. So let's look at this first graph. When are the y values positive? Well, always. So the y values are positive are positive when the x values go from 0 to 9. So this graph is positive over the interval from 0 to 9. Now let's look at this example. Okay, so it looks like the y values, here's the origin. So from here on up, the y values are positive. Well, when does the graph exist there? Well, reading left to right, if we start way out at negative infinity, if we went way out here and way up here, the graph would be positive. It stops being positive at negative 2. So from negative infinity up to negative 2, or remember we can write this when x is less than negative 2, the graph is positive because that's where the y values are above 0. Now this turning point, so to speak, it doesn't change direction, but it does change whether it's positive or negative. When the x's are greater than negative 2, so as you start at negative 2 on the x and you go to the right and the x's get bigger, what's true about all of these y values? They're all negative. So the negative interval for this graph is all the x's greater than negative 2. We could write that. Negative 2, all the x's greater than negative 2, all the way to infinity. So these are positive and negative intervals. We can look at another example. Let's look at this graph. Is the function positive? And if so, where? Is the function negative? Where? Well, I might start with the negative on this situation. So when are the y values below 0? This little section of the graph is where the function goes below 0 on the y-axis. So what section is that? What interval? Well, it's reading left to right. It starts being negative when x is 1, and then it stops being negative when x is 3. So in this interval, when the x's go from 1 all the way to 3, the y values are negative. So this is called a negative interval. Positive intervals, well, there's two. There's this branch of the function and then this one of the function. There's 2 positive intervals. So we're going to write 2 of them for that. And let's do this in a simple way. From this point to the left, so the x is less than 1, that is a positive interval. And then this branch starts at when x is 3, and then as the x increases, the y value stays positive. So these are the 2 intervals over which this function is positive. What are the positive and negative intervals for this graph? When is the graph positive? When are the y values positive? And when are the y values negative? It looks like the division line or dividing point is at when x is 0. So when x is 0, from 0 increasing, that's where we have the positive interval. And then everything to the left, or when the x's are smaller than 0, that's when it's negative.